You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protean Machining, and this week, joined as always by my catch-up co-host, the machining nomad, Chris Sabatini. What's going on, man?
Hey, how are we doing? I'm in California, baby.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in an office at my customer. It's pretty cool.
Nice of him to let you use it, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. This is a big ass shop. They
Really?
they have like 40 machines or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's big enough that a year and a half ago when this project died, they had bought a fuckload of power grip holders and they forgot about them. Management changed over or whatever. And they're like, oh, we don't like, and now that we're firing it back up again because like their customer had a total loss and went from double the demand to zero demand, like literally overnight. And now that we're getting back into it, they're like, well, we don't have any power grip. And I'm like, pretty sure you do. And I found it.
Right.
Like, hey, look, I found 37 PG25 holders. I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you were the one who introduced it to them, right?
Right.
If I remember right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because
That's
I think we talked about this project on the show.
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's just, crazy. Like you said, that you've come full circle and are now back there starting it back up again,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
with more support this time. Cause I feel like I remember last time being kind of contentious.
Yeah, I would actually say there's like it's weird because there's less support this time.
Okay.
In a weird way, like the almost everybody that was involved with it from a manufacturing standpoint outside of operators are gone. Like the former programmer's gone, the quality guy's gone, the shop manager's gone, the site manager's gone. It's all new people, which is interesting. But that being said, like it is a weirdly like because like knowing what we knew then and starting it over, it's like, all right, well, the scope, we're just gonna like hyper focus the scope to these 4 parts on one machine and seeing what we can get done kind of thing. And so it's like, yeah, I came in, and then like not doing it in T6, doing it in T0 this time. So slight changes to the programs because the material's so gummy. And then making sure, as a result, like making sure all the collets for the PG were coolant flushing at the very least, so that like we're just getting really good chip evacuation. But like I've submitted it's 4 part numbers, started on Monday. They weren't ready for me, and but found all my stuff. But yesterday, last night, I submitted 4 part numbers, one of each part number to QC, and then fired up the 6 up now, and it's been running for 4 hours so far, and it'll run for like 8 or 9 more hours or something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is killer. Well, let's step it back. Last we spoke, I think you were just coming, you came in very hot. I mean, we delayed a day so that you were not like, burning up the mic, but you were on a job that was frustrating to say the least.
Yeah.
So, what's been going on in the last few weeks?
That job came back, right? I can't remember if we talked about that after the fixture didn't show up, or the fixture did show up like Friday.
Yeah, I want to say that we left off last time with you saying like, call me when things are ready for me to actually do stuff.
Right. And so they were like, they weren't happy that I didn't show up the next week. And they're like, oh, we're gonna roll up our sleeves and do it ourselves or whatever. And it's like, fucking fine. And I get a call and they're like, hey, so they designed the fixture. And it's like, hey, so how does it attach to the rotary? Like, I don't know. I didn't design it. And what it turns out is that they had, I don't think I had figured this out yet, or maybe I did, but like the fixture is designed for an HRT 310, not a fucking DDR. And so the difference between like the weight limitations is out of control. And it's truly like not so much about the weight even with the DDR, but the moment of like and where the center of gravity slash rotation is or whatever, center of mass is. And this is like it's a before we even put the part on it, we're we're over the weight capacity of the rotary. And our center of mass is like 4 inches below center line, so that's also bad. So we would get like after we oh, man, they so stepping that back is the model that I was given of the DDR had a 10 millimeter riser in it that wasn't there in real life. So one of the things all everything was designed around that. And as a result, our tailstock side was 10 millimeters higher than the DDR side, than the rotary side. And they put it together that way and just started rotating it around. And I was like, okay. And and the guy took it apart and put it back together that way. And I don't know how he did it. Like, that is some brute force ass shit right there. Cause 10 millimeters is a lot. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's 394 thou, like out of control. And so I'm like, I, cause I took it apart and I was trying to put it back together and I was like, Jose, how did you fucking do this? And he's like, and I this, and so I'm like, then I start looking at the model. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm missing this piece, or rather, that piece wasn't there that I designed around. So now we just ended up dropping the tailstock side down 10 millimeters, which was fine. It took them 6 hours to face off 10 millimeters or whatever, which was
Mhm.
crazy.
They were using like a 1/16th, just let it eat, right?
Yeah, they did it on Bridgeport.
Oh, man.
And it like it took so long it like spanned shifts, you know? They're like, well, the guy who started it's going home, so somebody else is gonna finish it, and then we got it together, and I got it like really well aligned, you know, like it was straight and it was flat and it was good, and then went to rotate and I got to about 30 degrees and the axis was at like 250% because it was just too much. It just couldn't
Yeah,
handle the weight.
deep in the red.
Um,
One thing you
yeah.
forgot, though, that was a bright spot is thank goodness you had your Haas because,
Oh,
like you
yes,
said, it
correct.
was designed for an HRT and it was on a
Yeah.
DDR.
Yeah. So I had to make a bunch of pieces or 2 pieces that I fucking definitely charged them for because they're like, "Oh, well, I had sent them an email like, "Hey, so it's designed for this and we have this, so we need to make an adapter and I can design it or you can design it and I can make it or you can make it. Doesn't matter to me, but somebody has to do this and I'm not coming back until it's done." You know, and the rotaries and the fixtures in the machine. And initially they were like, "Well, we'll just do it. We'll just do it ourselves. This is supposed to be a turnkey." And I was like, "Hey, this isn't a turnkey. Like my proposal never mentioned a turnkey. Like we did programming and setup, baby. You have the fix. Like this is on you." And like we essentially like called their bluff or whatever, because like both Maruka and myself or whatever, we were like, "Okay, go ahead, cool,
Right. Fine. Yeah.
works for us."
We got better things to
And
do.
then
Bye.
yeah, and they were like, "No, we want you to do it." And it's like, "Okay, yeah." So they gave me the go ahead on Thursday. I was in Maryland, ordered the material. I got back to Boise on Sunday, started cutting Sunday, finished cutting Monday, shipped it out. It was there on Wednesday, and they had the shit in the machine on Friday. They had it in there fucked up. I don't know. I still don't know how he got like that to work, like at all. It was truly like really upsetting because it's like, dude, this is like beyond like malicious compliance, you know?
Right.
But having the Haas just sitting there, it just allowed me to like crank that out. And as a result of that, of like finding out that the rotary doesn't work and everything, which were they were like, "Oh, it's maybe the rotary's fucked up because of having installed it." So we've ripped a DDR off another machine, reinstalled it, and tried that. Nope, same thing. And then the guy the like main engineer or whatever was like, maybe the whole machine's fucked up. So just take everything off of this machine and put it on another machine. And I was just like, that was a 1-word text message response of no. Mm-mm.
No,
Like,
I don't think so.
like like what we're seeing makes sense based on the specs of the rotary.
Right.
Cannot handle this. Like, and we are seeing that it cannot handle it. And the amount of like, and for whatever reason, redesigning the fixture, making it out of aluminum, whatever, off the table, completely off the table. It's going to be too flimsy. They said you're never going to hold tolerance. It's like we are doing prep cuts on a fucking giant. I mean, the part is Inconel, but it's like we are doing the babiest of baby cuts.
Right.
Like, we're not hogging. We're like cleaning material up from a casting. Like, relax.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're just like, what's the problem? What's the problem? It's like this doesn't fucking work, man.
Right.
And so where we're at now is upsizing the rotary from a DDR to a Coma RWA 200, which is slightly bigger. Interestingly enough, that has the
10mm
center
riser.
line. It is designed with 160mm center line versus the 150. So the stuff that I designed height-wise works, so that's good. A couple little changes, but it's new shit that I get to make and I get to charge for it, right?
Yeah.
So I think at this point, it was initially like, without saying like actual numbers, we have added on about 4 or 5x. We more than doubled the cost of the project in made parts, essentially.
I mean, great for you. I'm very happy for you.
It
is what a pain in the
awesome.
ass.
It is, dude. I told them today, like, because they owe me money. It's like, hey, like, I'll make the other stuff, and I'm making the other stuff. Like, it was like $1,000 in material, whatever.
Right.
But I was like, I'm not shipping anything until we get paid on the other stuff. And Maruka, the guy, he's like, yeah, you shouldn't. And it's like, cool, okay. As long as we're on the same page there.
Right.
Like, I've never seen a company just like, this is the first time just like holding the line so hard and they're just dropping to the bottom of my list to the point. It's like, especially with other opportunities coming in that I just literally, I cannot talk about,
Right.
but that are super sick. Like, no, can't do it.
Right.
Like, we'll figure it out, but like, you're on my time now, baby.
Mhm.
Oh, we're late. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not like, the best was, oh, we didn't have time to redesign the fixture. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Because we spent weeks and tens of thousands of dollars trying to fucking fix this at this point. Like, what are you doing? What do you mean? I love it. It's like, well, we didn't have time to do it right. So, but we do have time to fix it all.
Yeah.
And we'll pay way more money. Like, cool.
I mean,
Sick.
it's just like all those companies that send their casting tools to China and then pay triple or quadruple what they would have normally to get them reworked in the US to make them work. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, no, we don't have to, like, they think they don't have time. And then lo and behold, what do you know? They have time.
Yeah. Yep.
So where'd you go from there? How did we get to California?
We went from there to, did we go from there to here? No. Yes.
I remember you
No.
hung out with Tom
Yeah.
again, and you were there for a while.
Right. Yeah, I was there for a week. So then I finished up, and then I went from New Jersey to here to
Okay.
California. And then so I drove back to Boston, dropped my car off, and then I flew to California.
Nice.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it's nice being here. It's kind of cold, you know. It's not as cold as it was in Massachusetts.
Right.
But last week the weather was fucking bizarre. Like, it was 70. It was like in the 70s in New Jersey, 60s, 70s. It was fucking warm. I was sweating my ass off.
Oh,
Like,
weird.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on here?
We've had a few weird weeks here where like we hit 84 last week, and then this week is
Mhm.
rainy and in the 50s and
Yeah.
60s. And it's like,
Yeah.
can you just choose one? Like either just
Yeah.
become summer and I'll just be miserable, or
Right.
keep doing the stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. At 84, I mean, I guess it's March. At least it's not like hitting 84 in like January, you know?
yeah,
That's or
that would have been
February,
rough.
like, yeah, like, no, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so now I'm here in California and we're just like kind of doing it to it and things are going pretty good. And like I said, pretty big opportunity came in that's going to take off pretty soon, or that kicks off like next week, essentially, because I'm going to see the knife guy in Reno.
Nice.
And then, hammer out some details of some other things.
Sweet.
Uh, yeah.
Dude,
And
it might not be 2 weeks a month, but this is like the least chaotic update you have ever given on the show.
right.
You're like, I
Yeah.
was at one customer and then now I'm in California.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. It's a matter of like I'm just not, and I guess in between that I was in Boise, or I wasn't in Boise, I was in northern Idaho doing like some cutting, and we got him kind of squared away. That was almost a little more annoying in a way because he cuts his parts in like 9 operations right now, and we did it in 2 on his VF2 with the TRT 160 and like a curve vise. And like he just doesn't like how I'm cutting the part because he doesn't think it's gonna hold up or whatever, because I'm cutting what is a quote unquote tight tolerance feature. It's like plus or minus 2 thou in 2 operations. And it's like, we're gonna be like, I'm gonna cut it like this, and then in the next operation, I'm gonna probe it. So we're gonna be okay. And he's like, I don't know. And then like we cut the first one, it's like, let's measure it. And like the largest deviation we saw was 5/10. It's like, and he's like, well, and then you get the classic, well, can you do it for 10,000 parts? Yes. Like, he's like, oh, okay. But like, and it's like, he's like, well, what if we cut it like this? Or what if we cut it like that? And I just keep telling him like, I'm not going to change the process until I need to change the process. Like, this is what I think is going to work. It has proven to work. It will continue to work, especially like we did it with his tooling initially. And now we updated the tooling to like, I'm going to go back, and we got it's all Fraser end mills now and shunt hydraulic holders. So from like AccuPro, like steel coated, I'm like TIALN coated end mills in ER collets and side lock holders to actual aluminum tools from Fraser and fucking Shunk Hydraulics. Like, brother, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, that's fun, man. And then how long are you out in California for?
Till Monday. And
Okay.
then Monday I'll drive over to assuming these fucking clowns pay me, because the van is done. It's just I have so much money in accounts receivable, I just cannot afford to get the van from the shop.
Right.
Which is so frustrating. They called me this morning. They're like, "Hey, it's done. It's ready for you." And I was like, "Cool. I'm hoping to pick it up
I'm not
tomorrow or
ready for
Monday."
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but I'm like so stoked. Like, I should be getting paid tomorrow by at least one customer, and that should be enough to like get the van out of the shop on Monday and then drive it over to Reno and then eventually get it into Boise.
Sweet. That's
yeah.
great.
And then so then I'll be in Reno next week with the knife guy.
Awesome.
And I'll see our boy Hamilton Phillip.
I'm recording with him tomorrow, so it'll be out a week after this one comes out, but everyone will hear.
Man, that will be, he should have a pretty interesting update then.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be good. And then after that I go see Servin.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. And then I don't know after that, like I kind of have the last week of March open right now. Oh, first week of April, on that first, April 1st is a Monday. I'm going to get the rest of I'm going to be, that weekend I'm for sure going to go to England and get the rest of my head tattooed. on
I didn't
April
realize there
1st.
was more to that.
Yeah, it's gonna get colored in. It's gonna
Oh,
be solid.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's gonna be more, and then that week, towards the end of that week, I want to be in Cleveland for a show. There's a show. Fuck. PMTS, PCTS. It's like a little regional trade show for our industry.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'll go hang out with fucking
Justin.
Justin.
Yeah.
And I guess Toolpath is doing their like all hands on. Everybody's gonna be there that week, so that should be really fun.
Oh, awesome. That'll be really cool.
Yep. Yeah. That new guy Pete. Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I never met him. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm really pumped. It sounds like things have kind of settled in then since the last time we talked.
Yeah. I haven't been selling anything, intentionally. Like I've been like mostly like kind of like pushing, like not like, obviously certain opportunities come up and it's like, well, that's a fucking yes, like 100%. But like certain things, it's like, I'm busy, like I'm just like not really throwing myself out there too much because like, and it's paid off because I've been able to basically like, I was saying this, so interesting because I just recorded with Tim last night and I was saying this exact thing is it's really easy. It makes managing stress a lot easier when I'm not like filling the hopper up constantly. And like every day that I go by and make progress is like actually reducing the amount of work to be done, which is very new and kind of weird. And like, but I am up to like fucking 6 figures in account receivable as of today. And it's just fucking killing.
Ugh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, I think lots of the audience can empathize with that though. I feel like that's a very common small business struggle of like, I'm technically poor right now. I'm technically broke, but like, not really.
Not. Yeah. Yeah, it's like there will be money at some point. It's just like when will it happen? Who fucking knows? I don't know. But and then I guess new thing just is I've been after seeing that like thing on Reddit about a guy who used ChatGPT to like kind of like get his fucking health in line. I've been giving that a shot and that's been actually pretty fucking good. It's just I don't know. It's a very easy way to like track everything. It's like, this is what I ate picture. And it's like, cool, logged it.
Yeah. Well, it's like having a free health coach, like follow you around all day.
Yeah. Yeah. The one that like the tracking is really good. Or pretty good. Sometimes it like straight misses where it's like, it'll be like, yeah, you ate this and these are your stats. And it's like, no, that's wrong. Try again. And then it's like, oh, you're right. and it does it again. The great one is like, towards the end of my day, like what can I eat? Like what's a good meal to have that is within my macros. And I don't have the ability to cook because I'm in a hotel room. And it'll be like, oh, this, here are some options you can do if you have like access to a microwave and blah blah blah, like, and it's just this, like, try a chicken wrap, try like bag of broccoli and whatever, and that is like the number one thing that it's been really good for is just being on the road. And like, I don't know, I don't want to go eat fucking fast food, I mean, I will say Panda's pretty good, like it's decent enough, like white rice and like the chicken teriyaki is like not bad,
right?
But it's also like still
right. Yeah, if you're trying to eat healthy, the last thing you want to do is go out to fast food and like try to cut corners there. You're like, well, like I'm in my calories, but I feel like shit.
Yeah, that has been like a massive thing to like general, I guess, like mental health, is having like the first week was rough. You remember, like, I remember like that one day where I was like, God, I feel like shit, whatever. And it's like, brother, you're eating like no calories.
Yeah.
Like, you need to eat something.
Yeah. You were like, I'm like kind of dizzy and not feeling good. Like, yeah, go eat something, bud.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. That's true. Yeah. And that was the worst day. And since then, I've been kind of chilling with I mean, because it is like fairly low, like caloric intake at the moment. But I've been doing surprisingly. That was by far the lowest point. I think part of it was I was eating a lot of sugar. Like just consuming a fuckload of sugar, and I really haven't been. Like, because it's a lot of like, quote unquote empty calories or whatever
Right.
that just don't do anything for you. And you're just like on the road, like housing sleeves of and stuff. It's like, yeah. And then you just cut all of that out. And my body's like, yo, dog, where's that at?
Yeah.
It's like, we're taking a little break, bud.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good though. That's been good because I haven't been like crazy restrict. Like I've eaten a fuckload of burgers. Like the burger that I ate with Tom was out of control. Also, that motherfucker, he eats burgers with a fork and knife, and I will never get over it. It's the wildest shit I've ever seen. He's not wrong with the type of burger we were eating, that it's better for sure. He also orders his burgers rare, which is a 40 chess move for real, because it actually comes in like medium
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
Because like every medium burger I've ever ordered comes in like well, and it's just dry as hell. But like he's not wrong that like the burger was like fucking 6 inches tall.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was huge. And yeah, eating it with a fork and knife is good, but it's still the wildest shit I've seen.
Oh.
Like, why are you eating French fries with the fork, you son of a bitch?
I can't wait to see what he says in my DMs once he hears this.
Yeah. But
Awesome, man.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of what my last update was when you were on last.
Yeah. You've been kind of just fucking cranking.
Yeah,
parts.
yeah, we've been just kind of I mean, like we're
Oh.
saving for a new machine, so like
Tape and glue in the Hermela.
oh
That happened.
yeah. So there's been a few things. I did my first job, tape and glue job in the Hermela, which part was really cool. Like it was neat. It wasn't anything super special, but like what was great about it is that I did it like I would cut a sacrificial block to be my glue fixture, tape and glue the piece of aluminum to it, and then put that whole vise into the link system and then run it.
Right.
And so what it did is it like confirmed, okay, we can palletize tape and glue stuff and run.
Right.
Like it was definitely a wake up call's the wrong word, because like I already know that we need automation, but it was just like one of those reaffirmations of like, hey dummy, you're sitting here for 10.5 hours now when you could have gone home. Actually, no, it was they were an hour and a half a piece. So it was 15 hours that I had to run these and just sit there and and like they ran perfectly, but I had to babysit it. It's like, man, it would have been really nice to load up 10 of these and go home.
Right.
And come back the next day and be able to ship the parts. And like, yeah. So I've had a few jobs that have really illustrated that recently, where I'm just like sitting there waiting on the machine. It's like, man, it really would have been nice to just schedule these and go home.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, soon enough,
Yeah.
Soon
yeah.
enough.
We're planning. I'm waiting on quotes right now from Kevin. I was telling you the other night that like I was getting really worried, or not really worried, but like just like starting to think about like power requirements and things like that. And I was getting worried about that. And then I realized like, oh, well, we're probably going to sell the F600 if we get this.
Right.
And so like we're going to have another 60 amps available.
Right. You just sold a machine. You're going to sell the F600. So like basically just being 2 5-axis and the S700 is with like the HS Flex or whatever is you're going to be chilling.
Yeah, I think so. Though I did find out that the HS Flex comes with the 1000 PSI coolant. So he's like, oh, it does. You have to run a second drop for that whole unit. It does take a little bit more power. Like both drops come from the transformer, but it needs its own drop. Like the whatever 530 PSI one that I have on the C250 now just gets its power from the machine itself.
But
the 1000 PSI takes too much to to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It comes with through spindle air, which is great. Don't have to buy
Oh,
that as an
cool.
option.
Yeah.
He called
Yeah.
me and was like, "Hey, you don't need a bigger laser, do you?" And I was like, "No, like I'm not gonna
Bigger laser. Oh, like
to fit
wider,
bigger
like
tools, yeah, because like right
yeah.
now mine is I think 125 max
Yeah,
is
it's like
between the
you're like,
laser."
brother, I don't even run a half-inch end mill.
Right.
You
It's like, dude, I
talking
have a
about?
80 millimeter saw in there, and that's probably the biggest
Yeah,
tool that machine's ever gonna see. It's like, dude, I've
yeah,
run more 10 thou and 15 thou end mills than I have half-inch end mills. So like, let's cool it on the laser size.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm stoked on that. Trying to think of other things that we've run in the shop recently. The tape and glue was a super big thing though. Like that was really,
Yeah.
really good. We ran some mold parts and it kind of only re-emphasized that like we really need like this research into cam is important because
Right.
like there was parts. First off, I'm still getting these like ghost collisions between shaft and stock
Yeah.
that don't show up unless you run the simulation through. Like you can't skip to the end. You can't rely on verification. We modified my post based on something that was in the cab to make them better. And like
Yeah.
it stopped showing my tool inside the part. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But I'm still getting them. And so like
Mm,
and some of these simulations in full 5-axis with collision avoidance and stuff, they take almost as long as the toolpath takes to run them through. And like I'm just sitting there like, oh, I'll
that's
go run the F, I guess, for a while and make some other parts. Or
that is outrageously unacceptable. Do you want to like real quick answer arrow methods or
yeah, sure.
question?
So yeah, Error Method's question was, why aren't you considering CamWorks in your Cam Showdown? Really, it's because I don't know that many people that use it. I
Right.
think he is one of them, and Marvel Machine is the other one that I know.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard a lot of really good things about it. And really, like, if I'm going to relearn how to do everything, I want it to be a class leader in 5-axis.
There's another aspect of it too, which is it requires fucking SolidWorks, and you don't want SolidWorks.
That's the other thing. I hate Dassault, and I do not want to give them money.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of a shitty company, and I don't want to give them money. And I know you can run it in Solid Edge, which is basically NX Lite, but at that point, it's
Yeah.
like I would just get NX,
Right.
and
Right.
NX can't cam. So
Yeah. Yeah, the only other people that I know that were running CamWorks was Lights Out Manufacturing, and once they got the UMC, like, and I show, and like because of IMTS, we did all that shit in Fusion. I'm pretty sure they just switched to Fusion and called it a day, because
okay,
the whole camp, like the post support is way better for Fusion and everything. Your ecosystem's better, the community's better, whatever. I know like him, like Arrow and Marvel are both like hardcore evangelists of CamWorks, and they build systems that work for them. And like I'm recording with those jackwagons on Sunday.
I keep because their name is so close to Impractical Jokers.
The Jokers.
I keep
Yeah.
thinking of them as the
Yeah.
Jokers, and I'm like, no, that's not their name.
Yeah. Right. The Impractical Jokers, baby. But
Right.
like I will like kind of maintain that like it's especially Brad from Marvel, like the shit that he's doing, it is definitely not because of CamWorks that he is so successful. It is him that
Mhm.
makes it so successful. He has built a like incredibly bulletproof system that you could do inside of Fusion or inside of like a Mastercam, kind of,
Right.
but like it's the system more than the software that's
Gotcha.
enabling most of his stuff that I've seen anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So as an update there, I still haven't chosen anything. I've got a meeting tomorrow with Uday from Hypermill.
Nice.
Spend a couple hours with him and talk more. Right now, they're kind of looking like the front runner just from a customer service aspect. Like I'm kind of on my high horse about working with companies that are like very customer focused right now. And
dude,
like
they were
Kevin's
the
been
best.
amazing. And I have yet to talk to anybody who has been upset with that side of them.
Right.
The
Sweet.
surface tools are also really cool. Like the part that
Yeah.
I programmed it in Fusion and actually made it in Fusion, and then I've been like programming it again in Hypermill.
Yeah.
Um, is this crazy mold surface that's made up of all of
Right.
these like subsurfaces. And me, as someone who has had almost no training and no experience in Hypermill, was able to figure out in about 2 minutes, like, oh, I can use this tool and it'll stitch all the surfaces and extend them and make them perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
And Uday is like having essentially gone back and done it with Uday again, like
mhm,
because I got a second round with him. And when he's just like able to focus on the actual piece of software, it's incredibly like it's very clicky. So you like really will be building some fucking templates that just like
yeah,
handle some shit for you. But outside of that, it's like, oh, this is good. And Uday is really good. I like him a lot.
awesome. Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like it's not like other cam softwares or Fusion for me at least, where like you can get by kind of copying and pasting from other files and stuff. Like you really need to spend a lot of time and make your tool database and make your whole wizard stuff. And like, oh, if I
Yeah.
color it like this, use these tools and make your templates
Yep.
and all, like you can do all that. And then it's super powerful, but like you have to invest the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, that reminds me, I don't think I've put you in contact with Luke's.
Not yet.
But
No.
I mean, he is like, and Uday will like second this is he is probably like the well, how do I say this? Like he's like the number one guy in probably like the world for the tool database in Hypermill. Like nobody uses it to the extent that he can tell you how to do everything. His shit is so dialed, it's crazy.
The tool database is one thing that like I already find so cool about it too. And I know that it's not unique to
It's
Hypermill. There's a lot of
yeah,
I think NX has a similar thing, and I mean, who knows? Maybe CamWorks has a similar thing, but like, I don't know how many times I've used a specialty tool in a file,
mm,
not put it in my like cloud libraries because I'm like, oh, I'm never going to use this again. And then I get an order
yeah,
that I need it on, and then I have to go digging for 5 or 10 minutes and be like, all right, what part was that? All right, what order is that from? Okay, now I can go find it in Fusion and copy and paste it into the
yeah,
new one. And
yeah,
like with a true database, guess what? It's just there. Like you
yeah,
built it, it's in
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's so cool.
And like building holders and all of that is so quick and easy compared to having to
Yeah.
use that script in Fusion.
Dude, I still can't believe like all the updates that they're doing that are just like destroying the fucking usability of the software, and we still don't have that. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, what the fuck, guys?
I mean, I told them a while ago, I was like, at minimum, just put the script behind a button in Fusion.
Right.
It's already there. Like it was written
Yeah.
by someone at Autodesk. Just do that. Like, I don't care if it's
Yeah.
a half measure. It looks so bad that I have to go to. I mean, I think the place I downloaded it from was NYC CNC, and
Yep.
then Ian included it in Fusion Essentials. Like, and
Yeah.
I think made it a little better too. But it's just insane. It's absolutely insane
Yeah. It's so dumb.
because it's something
I
you do. Maybe not all,
all
the
the
time,
time.
but like
No.
frequent enough.
I do it all the time. You know?
Okay.
Like
Yeah. Well, yeah. For
every
you,
new
exactly.
every new customer, it's like oh, I mean, it's like, oh, we're a Cat 40 shop, we're a BT 30 shop, we're an HSK shop. Oh, we use Pioneer, we use fucking Technics, we use Shunk, we use Rigafix, whatever. I mean, and I build like I do like it's good. I mean, it's good for me because I have like libraries on libraries of this shit at this point. But sometimes you just still like it's everybody's new, everybody's different, and it's like fuck. That kind of dovetails into Justin's question a little bit too.
Yeah.
Which is simming.
Well, let's get to that. Let's go
Yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah.
We're jumping into
Yeah.
questions. I don't think I really had anything besides like we've done some more organization. I posted online of like organizing that back closet finally, so that it doesn't look terrible. That was a great one.
Yeah.
We bought some safety stock just to have on hand and like a big thanks to Harrison for the recommendation on like a nice rack for the material, just so we have stuff on hand since we have the saw now.
Yeah.
I think that's about it as far as things that I can share. Like it's frustrating because I've actually made some really cool parts lately that I would love to show off, but
Right.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes. Yeah, so let's jump into some questions, man. An anonymous Patreon user asked us, as end users, what do you feel when you hear about a company like Autodesk cutting 10% of their staff to invest in AI? Does that build your confidence in them or make you trust them less? Asking for a friend.
I hate it. I don't like it. Like, I I can understand the investing in AI part because I mean it's nice, but like I feel like we're really so far away from it being like reasonable and good that cutting staff to invest in it seems like, I mean, let's all of our experience with Autodesk is like Fusion's cool and Fusion's good, and then they make updates that fucking tank us. And that's with people. So now we're gonna have AI. Like you and I have both used like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and it just is giving you like the most confidently wrong answers you've ever seen in your entire life. You know?
Oh yeah.
So like what is that gonna look like for, like, I'm assuming like software QA and like pushing updates and all this other dumb bullshit, and probably like, I don't know, tickets and whatever, is how much of it's going to get lost and how many updates are we going to start to see that just like brick the fucking software. I mean, the other day I showed you, like, I had to fully reinstall Fusion because the last update just killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it died and I had to reinstall it, like, out
Yeah.
of control. That doesn't seem like it's going to get way worse before it gets better by losing people.
Yeah. And realistically, I think it's 10% across Autodesk, not just Fusion. So like,
Right.
I think people forget that Fusion and manufacturing in general is like the tiniest.
It's bitty.
Yeah, Autodesk uh, probably doesn't give a shit about Fusion, like in general.
Right.
And you know,
Right.
I'm sure somebody who works there can call me out and tell me that I'm wrong. But like, you go to AU and like most of the classes are about BIM 360 and things like that, and most of the attendees are in building buildings, not making chips. So I don't know. Like, I think I kind of have a tongue-in-cheek theory about companies that invest in AI. Like, have you ever heard and that's not a theory, but like there was something that was brought up on Instagram a bunch where like all startups, all transportation startups end up just reinventing the bus or the train.
Yes. Yep.
And I feel like all AI investment just ends up reinventing Clippy over
Right.
and over. And so it's like,
Yeah.
you know, do I need Clippy being like, oh, that speed and feed is a little high for that toolpath? Are you sure you want that?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, Autodesk is a giant tech company, and
Hmm.
it would be silly to think that they would be immune from the rise and fall of hire and fire like every other tech company
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. True. Was it them or was it Amazon that was like, oh, we're firing middle managers so that we can, so because they put their thumbprint on too much shit, and I can't remember who that was. And it's like, oh, you're talking about like, so we want to like empower our people. It's like, so you want to fire like highly paid managers and then overburden your individual contributors or whatever.
Yes, that's exactly what they know. And I think that
Yeah.
I am pretty sure
That,
that you could generalize what that statement you just said and apply it to almost every firing that's happened at all of the big companies.
yeah, we need to flatten the hierarchy. It's gotten too out of control.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
fucking eat my ass.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I feel. I don't know. Like it hearing about it, I'm very sorry for all the people who lost their jobs, but wasn't surprised at all.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's what you do when you have a down quarter or something doesn't
Mhm.
work the way that you thought it was going to go. Oh, just fire people, and then investors are happy
Mhm.
again, and keep going. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell
So
yeah.
Doug asked some great questions as always. What was the best and worst business investment in the last year, and why?
I would say what it's looking like right now is probably the one that's directly related to the business is gonna be the Haas.
Mhm.
The VF4. Like the first part we put on it was a 48-inch plate that we couldn't have done without it, really. And then immediately paid off with all these other parts that we have to make for the big project that we're working on. And oh, this is kind of cool, is like some of our retainer customers that we're doing work for is like, oh, hey, like that part's going to require a fixture for the second op. Do you just want us to make that? Like, we're designing it anyway. Like, why don't we just make it and then ship it to you? And they're like, yeah, cool, no problem. That's great.
That's
Um,
killer. I love
yeah,
that.
so it's like it's just like such a win, right? Is like it's 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 like really like white gloving a contract programming experience to it's like, oh shit, it's like you're gonna program the part, give me a full code solution and the fixture. I mean, they're paying for it obviously, but it's
Right.
like it helps expedite. I mean, the reason we have the machine is to better control timeline, and if they're burdened for parts, then not taking up a work center to build a fixture that we designed and we programmed also is like, well, if we're already programming it, why don't we just fucking make it?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's
This is
you're
a maybe shitty analogy, but it's like a take and bake meal. It's like everything's
yeah,
there. Like you've got the instructions, you've got everything. Just load it and go. Like you're good.
yep, yeah. That's like what we're going for. So like the Haas is enabling shit like that. You know, I mean, technically the Matsura did too, but this like I think the where this really shines is that when I'm not in Boise, Chuck can just walk up and use the Haas,
Mhm.
right? He has the same post. It's not a like I love the Yasnak. The J300 was sick, but it does not hold a candle to the usability of a fucking Haas NGC control.
Right.
Like it just that shit just works. It's easy. It handles all of our needs. That's good. Indirect best I'd say is just like deciding to like focus on Boise. That's been good for my brain, even though I haven't been there in like a couple weeks, you know? It's still like I know that that's home, and like it's like a very grounding thing. Like I know that that's where I'm going back to kind of thing. Fuck. Worst investment? Mm, ooh, that's a tough one. I can think of lots of things. Well, worst, I poorly invested in myself. Uh, um, is is pass.
Okay.
I'll come back to that one. Yeah.
Best. I mean, we're just outside of a year for the Herm one, so it doesn't count anymore. We'll go the saw for sure. I've said that
Mhm.
numerous times that like
Right.
we both use it, Brad and I, multiple times a day. It's still cutting plus or minus 5 all day. It's just fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I'm so glad we have that. Smaller ones that we've bought that I'm very happy with, or just like investments, I would say. Like one thing we've started doing for the last maybe 3 or 4 months is we've started catering lunch every week for Brad and I.
Oh, sick.
So
Yeah.
like there's a few meal prep places in town that will just prep lunches, like in their, good nutrition and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like we used to do company lunch Thursdays and Fridays and like do DoorDash, and like literally lunch for the week costs us the same as door dashing twice, more or less.
That's fucked up.
And
That's a good
like,
call.
and they're like nutritious, and we both feel full and good. And yeah, like we're not,
Mhm.
there was often times where we're like snacking and just like, oh, I forgot lunch, or, oh, I, didn't make anything last night to bring to lunch. And like now we just eat and go back to work.
Yeah. I
So
like
that's been
that.
great. Yeah, it's been
That's good.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Other ones, the stamper was last year, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
That one has been just so killer. Like, and yes, it's the work holding secureness is fantastic. Like I never have to worry about that. But the other thing is also, and this is so stupid, like it's a very simple thing, but finding center, like it puts that center mark in, and I have never once had to worry like, did I load that part correctly?
Right.
Because the first thing I do is line up that line with 0 and start
Yeah.
tightening, and it's like, cool,
Done.
okay, that's again, that's like things like power grip, where it just takes those things out of my mind. It's no longer even a thought at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's been a really fantastic one, and I'm really glad we bought that.
Nice.
Worst business investments, probably the Apple Mac Mini that I bought, because like
Oh, no shit.
within a week
Yeah.
or two of that, I was like, all right, I'm done. I need to switch cam systems. And so like now I don't give a shit about speeding up Fusion.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Um, I think I've, programmed a couple parts on it, but at this point it's like I just shouldn't have bought it. But at the
Right.
time, I did with what I knew. At that point, I was, Fusion was my solution, and that's what I was gonna do. So
Yeah. Yeah. Damn. Probably gonna say, now that I'm probably gonna say the van. At least like so far, because I started like putting money into it to like create stability that way.
Mhm.
But then a lot of like between starting to put money into that and like it going into the shop, like a lot of things, like, and now really it's like a fuckload of things have happened that kind of led me to deciding to like make Boise home.
Right.
So all the money, like what is going to amount to about $15,000 total to put into the van over the last like couple months, probably not really worth it.
Right.
I could have put that towards other shit, but that's saying that now we'll see, like when I have it back and it's back in Boise and I have it built out a little bit more, will it like, it's easy because I haven't used it yet.
Right.
That it's been months and I put a bunch of money into it and I haven't used it, so it just feels like it's just dead money. But when
Yeah.
I start like going back and forth to customers or whatever and being able to like just like take that thing around and not have to like stay in hotels, and like maybe it'll turn out to be good, but right now I'd say no, that was not really worth it
Yeah. Makes sense.
so far. Yeah.
His other question was, what is the single biggest blocker preventing you from reaching your business goals?
A lack of, I mean, still working on it, but I'd say the lack of stability that I have still, which like some of the things that are happening now are kind of going to build like some pretty hardcore stability, I would say. That's the hope anyway. But, I think like we're still fucking, one of the most stressful things is I mean, we're basically where you were at, is trying to find a shop space that is like home. Is like we get there and then some dumb bullshit happens and then it's like gone. It's like, what is happening right now? And then like trying to find a space and you see so many fucking spots that are like, oh, this is available. Like it shows like, like on LoopNet or whatever, picks anything. And it's like, oh, nope, that's actually rented. And those guys are using that as a lead generator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sick. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this. You scumbags.
Yep.
But I think we finally found a spot. It's a sublease essentially. Like these guys, they're building like a 3D printing farm or something.
Okay.
And fucking invested like they signed themselves up for like an $80,000 TI, and it's way too much space for them. It was like 3,500 square feet of fully air conditioned space. It's a really bizarre layout in that like it's a kind of like a longer building, and there's 2 shop spaces with like a door in between.
Oh, okay.
Like a man door, which is kind of fucked up because like we can't fit machines through it, so we have to like cut that out. But whatever, like it's looking like that's gonna be the spot. They want to get out. they're on the hook. Like they're grumpy because they want to leave, but they still have to pay for the TI, which is like, yeah, we're not like nobody's picking up that tab for you, brother. Like we'll take over the lease, that's no problem. But like you guys we didn't want this $80,000 build out, but it's got a full kitchen in it, like what you have going on. So
Sweet.
it seems like, and it's very close. It's not as close as some of the other places, but it's pretty close to the apartment and everything. That's probably where the van will live, realistically, like right next to the VF4. uh, but yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the ongoing saga there. But all that to say is like stability is coming, and I'm trying like just by not taking on work, it's really hard to not just like we're getting opportunities, and it's like that one's it's just not it's not good enough. It's not good enough to like pile on top, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
I think my biggest blocker is probably time and capital are probably
mhm.
tied right now. Like we need capital to,
Right.
because like I know everybody's gonna just hear that and be like, well, you just need to hire somebody. And it's like at this point, I truly don't think that I would see benefit from that till 2026.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Also, I mean, like, there are things that can't be talked about that really explain the whole time and capital thing a little bit better, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it like basically at this point we need to, I mean, we are working towards heavily investing in automation and like that will
Right.
give us a lot more time in the week and allow us to grow, add more customers, all of that. We've had like a few local customers all of a sudden start spinning up projects and asking for a bunch of
Nice.
RFQs the last week or so, which has been great.
Cool.
So yeah, we're just kind of towing that line of like pushing hard, but trying not to burn out and trying to nail down, how we go about buying this next machine and moving the shop around and all that. Because
Yeah.
what sucks basically is that we're going to have to move the current Hermla. Like we're going to want
Mhm.
to replace the current Hermla with the HS Flex one because of
Right.
where it is tucked back into that corner.
Yeah.
Because like, if we needed to update any machine, it would be the non-animated Hermla. And so like
Right.
having it trapped behind another Hermla with an automation cell attached to it would
Yeah.
be really dumb.
Yeah, because probably like what more than likely ends up happening is you get HS Flex and standalone Hermela, and then at some point standalone Hermela goes away and it gets replaced with another HS Flex.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and then you're good to go.
Yep. Yeah. But we'll see.
Maybe
All
the
in due time.
S700 goes away and it's just all 5-axis in there.
I think we'll always need
Yeah.
some kind of 3-axis, but
Tell that to Hadrian. Come on.
I think we'll always want something because like there's been parts this week that just wouldn't have made sense. Like we could have. I mean, you can do anything if you fit it in and make it work, but like it just
So she
fits.
said, baby. Um,
It just fits
yeah.
a 3-axis well in terms of workflow. So
Yeah.
we'll always have something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Possum Solutions asked us how to get quality outsourced parts. As someone who sometimes needs some overflow or parts I don't have capability for, what is the best way to find both a good shop to work with and give them the info to get good parts? I want to be a good customer as well as a supplier.
That is a interesting question. I think one way to do it is spend lots of money, you know? Uh, like, like I mean, that's a dumb thing to say, but it's like the more money you're willing to spend for the outsourced parts, more than likely, like going to a shop like you know, like
Right.
you would give him good parts. He would also pay for those parts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but that also being said is like more money doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a higher quality thing. And at a certain point, like, unless you know the shop really, really well, I would say, like, yeah, unless you know the shop really, really well, you're still fucking rolling the dice, you know? Like,
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
I mean,
try and find.
that's where you have to like have very good prints that cover your ass
Yes.
in every regard.
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess like one thing you could do is learn some basic GD&T stuff, and then find a shop that
Yeah.
understands GD&T and understands what you're asking for.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Good point. Because like Tim and I were talking about this last night, and that now you see most engineers, like, because they don't, like, they'll throw GD&T, like young guys, like fresh out of school, like they're putting GD&T on stuff, but it's like, yeah, we need this true position of like 1,000 to like 3 datums, and it's like, well, like,
No, you don't.
what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're in lieu of like actual engineering of your assembly, you are just making everything tighter and tighter and tighter. So it's like, well, if it's perfect, then it should work.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I showed you that print, but like with like 4 micron like wall profiles and like 8 micron profiles.
Uh-huh.
I had lunch with the guy working, or I just had dinner with the guy working on that part tonight, and he's doing that on a Kern, the Pyramid. What's
Uh-huh.
it called?
Yeah, Pyramid Nano.
Yeah, the Pyramid Nano. That's what they have, and they're getting an HD, I think, at some point. But
It sounds
he's
like the
like,
perfect machine for that kind of job. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like such a weird thing, because it's like, why even at that point? It's like, why even bother? It's like, just make it nominal to the model.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, just
Like,
make it perfect. Like, what are you talking
yeah.
about?
And it's like, yeah, that is like one of the only parts that I've seen with somebody with the current, like, that's like, oh, that does need to be on a current, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
most of these, I don't know. Well, I'll just stop there.
But yeah, I think you need to find a way to communicate what you want in drawing
Yeah.
form. And then also you need to find somebody who understands that. And also you just need to find somebody who wants to build a relationship. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day,
That's a good one.
I don't think you're going to
Yeah.
get good quality parts long term from just a, Xometry or or like any no name company that is just going to quote your parts as one of 1,000 customers. But like, you want to find somebody, you don't need to find somebody who's like into camera stuff like he is, but you want to find
Yeah.
somebody who's like interested in small businesses, or
Right.
likes to maybe give DFM advice and like wants to work collaboratively
Yeah.
with you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Words.
We're not even that. It's not even that late, you know.
No,
Like,
it's just been a long day.
yeah.
It's been a good day, but it's been a long day. All right. Justin's question. Do you sim for 3-axis work? Do you model your work holding for it? How strict are you about that?
I would say yes, I sim for 3-axis work. Yes, I model work holding. How strict am I about it? I guess that entirely depends. I'd say like 85% of the time I'm going with models and work holding models and holder models. The quick and dirty stuff is if I'm starting with like a piece of material that's way bigger than my part, you know, where I'm going to have like a 1/2 inch below the finished part, if that makes sense. So I'm not even getting close to a vise. Whatever. Sometimes I don't really care. But at the same time, like, we've done all the work to have fucking parametric vise and everything. It doesn't take but a second to just load that in to the part, or vice versa, load the part into the model and then run the sim. But I'm always running sim just to make sure like I didn't wipe something out by accident, you know? Like, oh, because I mean, it'll tell you like, oh, I didn't retract fully. I somehow didn't retract fully, and I just ran the cutter like completely through the part, or I'm rubbing the holder, I'm rubbing shank, I'm rubbing this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, it's in this day and age, like, it's just minding your P's and Q's, you know? Like,
Right.
it's just good practice to always do it. And if your system is good, which your system should be good, like, why not?
Right.
Because
So I'll say we don't have a good system for 3-axis stuff. I am very strict about holders, very strict about simulating 3-axis, but we don't have any of our work holding modeled. Like we don't have any templates for our 3-axis right now. I know,
interesting.
not something
That's
that
surprising.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it
it's
is
just
like it is
time.
one of those things you don't need it necessarily, but it's like it's just nice to have.
Like I'll throw a vise in there if I'm working below the jaws. Like if
Right.
I'm worried, if there isn't a possibility of it hitting something, that's when I start throwing more models at it to try to check for that. But for the most part, all of our stuff is, we have like 100,000 carrier, 150,000 carrier. I check my max depth on the code, at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, we're good, But we always simulate, and we always have our holders simulated. Like that, we are very strict about, for sure.
Yeah. I think where I started to get, it was about 2 years ago, I'd say, where I started to get more strict about it when I was doing, when we really started to ramp up the fusion work and doing like contract programming and like kind of like quote unquote building systems for people where it's like, oh, I'm doing this offset probing thing. So, and like this person knows nothing. So it's like their vice is going to have every part is going to have a common point in the corner of every part will have a common WCS of the top right corner of the vice. So that makes it very important to have the
vice in there. Yeah.
The vice in there and the jaws in there and everything, so that when it comes in, everything's in the correct spot. But if you're not doing that, like offset probing doesn't really work out of Fusion on the Brother, I don't think that well. If that's right.
I don't know if they fixed it finally in the post. Like they seem to constantly fix and break stuff in the OEM post or the Autodesk post for the brothers. Like we just finally got it fixed a few months ago.
Nice. But it really becomes like quote unquote less important if you're not like doing something like that as well.
Right.
If you're just going to like fire it off.
That's something we want to do. That's something I really want to do, is have more templates per machine and be able to run all that off of a common work coordinate, which we don't do right now in the brothers, at least.
Right.
All right. Aiden Chatham asked, as an apprentice, what does my future look like in this trade? With automation looking like it'll dominate the industry in 10 to 20 years, what tools do new machinists need to succeed? It has always been a dream to run my own shop. Does that still look the same in 20 years, just with the addition of some robots? Or is everything going to be done in massive, long established shops?
So what does that look like with automation? I'd say like tools that machinists need. Number one, like outside of like the obvious of like knowing how to like measure stuff, you obviously need to know how to program with something, drawing, programming, and like a basic understanding of GD&T. I would say is like 3 like pretty solid skills that'll get you by pretty well,
Yeah.
I
mean, I think the biggest thing with that is like the thing you need to succeed is the thirst for knowledge. Like the people who lost their jobs when CNCs came around, the people who are going to lose their jobs when automation comes around, are the people who are like, nah, I'm good. I like running my 3-axis mill with this one computer, and I don't want to learn a 5-axis. I don't want to learn a lathe. I don't want to learn how to run this cell. Like those are the people who lose their job. It's not the people who are like, oh yeah, you want to teach me how to run the robot cell? Sure. Teach me today.
That's a really good point, is that all of these things they're not coming to take your job. They're opportunities to level you up, and embracing them as the tool that they are will allow you to succeed. I mean, like we've said it a bajillion times on this podcast, is that like you getting a 5-axis, it's like one of those things like chicken or the egg type of thing, because you couldn't have put it in the other shop, but it has been such an insane force multiplier for you that it's like, why didn't I do this sooner? You couldn't have, really, but like it's just like it's a tool and like you're utilizing it, and now it's like really having it's paying off like insane dividends. Like in the last year, it's been nuts.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
And automation will be the same thing. Like the example I gave earlier, I had to sit there and run those parts, the tape and glue ones. I was there till midnight, and then
right.
back at 7 running more of them so I could ship it the next day. I
Yeah.
could have just left it running. I could have run the 2
Yep.
that I needed to like prove out the process, loaded up
Mhm.
the other 8 or even an extra 9,
Yeah.
and gone home and like come in the next morning and immediately been able to go on to the next job. Like it's not
Yeah.
taking my job away from me. It's just meaning that like I get more stuff done every day.
Right. Yeah. And that is absolutely like building off what like you leveled up from 3-axis to 5 and then 5 to automated 5.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, boom, boom. Just continuing to like there's never a point where you're done.
No,
If you reach the point that you think you're done, you are done.
yeah,
You're
you should
fucked.
retire.
You're
Like,
cooked. And that's and that like does running your own shop look the same in 20 years? No, obviously not. Like it's going to be the machines are going to be different. That like I would think in the next 20 years we're probably going to start seeing no G code solutions, you know? Like where you're just running straight NCI files on the control or something like that.
I would believe that.
Without the conversion, and things will get faster. Robots, yeah. I I mean, automation will continue to get better. I'm imagining more machines will start coming with automation, like the I mean, the MX, the MX330, MX420, PC10s are just like so insanely popular, and they just crush
Mm-hmm.
in that like in that range, especially of that price. Like nobody touches it for a fully integrated solution, and it's only like the Japanese are notoriously slow at adopting. So like OKK is way behind, Makino is way behind, but like blah 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 blah. People have to continue to like. I don't know if it's going to be robots more than it's just going to be like people are going to get better at having integrated solutions that just work out of the box. And to that last point of massive long established shops, no, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think most of these places are really bloated, and having been in some like really large long established shops, most of them don't want to fucking listen. So
Right.
they'll probably be some of the first ones to die. And I think it's going to be more a lot of like micro shops, like quote unquote micro shops around like your size, maybe a little bit bigger,
Mhm.
like in the like 3 to 10 machine range, and just a lot of them.
I could see that. I think also like all of that stuff is pretty cyclical. Like those long
Right.
established shops at one point were small, scrappy
Yeah.
shops that did the
Mhm.
same stuff that we're all working through. And
Yeah.
then they just, like you said, they got bloated. And so like, I think that that cycle will continue. I don't see it
Yeah.
stopping. People
I,
grow older, they put more people
yeah.
under them, their interests change, their priorities change.
Yeah.
And that's how you get these shops that are not willing to invest in stuff.
Yeah. Though I will say, like, as automation and like the stuff comes into its own, and like people have been embracing palletization like a lot. I was like recently that the bloat will be, I don't know what the bloat will look like, but I think you'll be able to get by like what would have been like a 40 machine shop, it'll probably be like 10 palletized machines,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot less people, just because that's how everything's trending. And then who knows, like maybe Toolpath is just like fucking like at that point, like thoughtless, push a button, get a banana type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's as easy as a 3D printer at that point. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And then you added one.
Yeah. Spencer Burns from Hadrian. He wanted our take on automation like Toolpath and Cloud CNC type of stuff.
Mhm.
And I asked him to elaborate, and what he elaborated with is like, what are the problems that we see? What do we think is bullshit? And what would we want to see automated? So the last bit's a little interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, So like I can go, it's like
Dude.
go going from the cloud and C and the toolpath stuff, and I mean even to a certain extent like I think what I what I like about toolpath versus the other guys and like companies that I've worked for, and I guess a little bit Hadrian too, is just like Spencer, I'd say Spencer respects it, but like there tends to be like a lack of respect for the problem, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like essentially like a lack of respect for the industry, and it becomes like kind of very belittling by and it's maybe not intentional. It's like, oh, this is like whatever. This is like I'll solve this.
Right.
And like Cloud and Sea like shot out like a cannon, and like Theo said some like really heinous shit, and it seems to have like stalled out quite a bit. Like there's stuff, but it just doesn't. It seems to be like it's more of like a super template type of situation rather than like an actual automation solution. Um, and like I mean, like Plethora died because of the same thing, which is just like a total lack of respect for the problem. And like, so that is one of the things that like always, that's like in terms of like the smell test, anybody who is like coming from outside of the industry into the industry and they're just like totally fucking like hand wavy to the whole thing, it's like, you won't succeed. I do not want to help you. You know,
Right.
like nobody would, it's like good fucking luck, dude. Like I had no time for that. And that's where like, I mean, obviously we've talked about this kind of ad nauseum about like Justin is like, Justin has like a tremendous, and like Toolpath in general, they have a tremendous respect for the problem that they're trying to solve, to the point like they kind of have like CAM solutions ready. Like, and like yesterday, I think Tim made his first part or whatever with like 100% with Toolpath, and it's very exciting, but it's not like available like 100% to the public yet or
Right.
whatever. And they're still like pushing their quoting solution or estimating or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing too that I appreciate, like both Justin and Pete have said it on their episodes, is that like automation is tough in this because everyone does it so differently. So like it has to be very
Right.
tailored to the shop or to the person.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the big problem. Like that's why this is like if this nut was easy to crack, we would already be using it.
Done.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Right.
you know, with some of the biggest companies in the world making things for their products and having, you know, they're probably the largest manufacturing presence in the world. If they haven't figured it out and they're
Right.
using, you know, the same similar solutions that we're all using,
Mhm.
clearly this is a tough nut to crack. Like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's crazy.
yeah. So yeah, it is always a giant red flag when somebody's just like, yeah, I got this. No worries. Couple years, see
Yeah.
me running
Yep.
code.
Yeah, a couple. Oh, I know exactly how to solve this problem. Everybody else is just fucking dumb,
Right.
and it's like, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Good luck.
Yeah. And like, I think the only way you could force the industry to accept a one size fits all solution is to like get rid of machinists. Like
Yeah.
you would have to indoctrinate an entire generation of, you could call them something else or whatever, but like, you know, manufacturing consultants, and like they would have to
Yeah.
use this one size fit all and like not know
Mhm.
the entire other side of the coin
Yeah,
kind of thing.
because at a certain point, like the place that I'm at right now, they're like programmer or whatever. It's like a very bizarre thing where he just like doesn't get it, you know? Like how he's programming is different than how they have traditionally programmed, and it is better,
Mhm.
right? And like this place actually had like a tremendous influence on how I've done program projects going forward, because it's like it at a certain point, the solution, it doesn't matter if it's like a strictly better solution,
Mhm.
right? If like this is just piggybacking on what you're saying, is if the adoption is not there and the activation energy is way too high, then it doesn't fucking matter. Then it's a bad solution. Like it could be like, yes, you're right. You can make parts faster. You can make parts more accurate. You can do this. You can do that. But now I have to train 50 people how to do that. 50 people who aren't you.
Mm-hmm.
50 people who won't have you to like rely on. I have to rely on this other fucking asshole who also doesn't believe in what you're doing. So once you're gone, this is going to be a fucking nightmare for everybody. And it has since been like, there has been quite a few projects where it's like, I'm going to do like, I'll revamp your process. I'm going to use most of the program that you already have. We're just going to do it in like a 4-axis instead of a 3-axis. And I'm going to use as many tools as that you already have as well. So it's something that you're familiar with. And then we'll just like work within that system that you already have. And those are the best type of situations that we've interacted in, you know, is because it's taking what they had and plussing it up instead of like just tearing it to the ground and like starting over. And now people like, you really find out who is like actually a self-starter versus somebody who's just gotten very good at working within a system. And some people do such a great job of seeming like they are able to work independently. And then you take the bumper, like the bumpers now drop and they can hit gutter balls and they live in that thing, you know?
Right.
It's out of control. So yeah, it's the one size fits all stuff is kind of bullshit. It's unfortunate, like, because there are other ways, but you know, this is a very ego driven industry, for better or for worse. It's all a bunch of fucking artists, you know?
Yeah. As far as things that I want to see automated, like that's why I've been pushing Justin and the guys at Toolpath so hard to automate quoting and better.
Yeah.
That's because to me, like programming is not the labor I hate, you know?
Right.
Like there's all the other BS that I hate. Like if I could never have to select another hole for a drill ever again,
Yeah. Yeah.
that would be awesome. You know, that would be a win for me. If I could have like, you know, bad models auto stitched together and like fix bad surfaces. That's another thing that I would love to not have to do again.
Yeah.
Even just like taking all my files from my quoting system and putting them in whatever software I'm using automatically so I can just open up the files and start programming. That'd be great. Like Paperless came out with an automation to send files into Fusion now.
Nice.
And then I tried it today and it's like,
it broke.
Well, it's like kind of half baked. Like it's really cool because you like, you know, you link your Fusion account and then you can see all your folders. But like I can't send a whole order into Fusion. I have to go part by part and send all the files. And then there's no way to like turn them into Fusion files. So then it uses AnyCAD. And so then it's like still a SolidWorks file. And every time I went to a new part,
yeah,
it backed me all the way out of the file system. So like I had to then click on like Protea machining and then customer files and then the customer and then the job number and then I could import the next part and then I would go to the next part in the order and I would have to do it all over again. I'm like, it's less time for me to just download these things and upload them into Fusion now. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Right. Like why did you even launch this, you fucking clowns?
It's a great first crack at it, but like it's just frustrating. But those are the kind of things that I would love to have automated. It's just like so I can sit down and do the work that I'm really good at.
Right. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. It's like it'd be really neat to be able to automate in-process inspection and link it back to a drawing or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like upload a drawing and have it just like automatically figure out the probing routines to check everything that could.
Yep. And then be able to like kind of like give you like a pass fail report, like reference report, like while it's still in the machine. That would be pretty hot. That's like, that's been on my mind a lot lately, actually, for reasons, you know? And that's probably my number one at the moment. Because it'd be fun. It'd be crazy. That's like a kind of a chattery thing, so to speak, a little bit,
Right.
partially. But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'll be very interested to see where it all goes. I'm very excited. Just having a lot of those things, a lot of the, I mean, to use a lean term, like a non-value add stuff, like the stuff that like, not only is it non-value add, it's stuff I hate to do.
Yeah.
So
yes. Yep.
All right. Well, let's get on to the last questions then, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've gone through most of these. Do you have a tip or trick from this week that you can share?
I don't actually think I mean, like, no, not really. Like, I've just been kind of like cranking this week. I mean, the wackest business tip or trick is that I can possibly think of is just get over yourself, you know? Like, there is like almost no making up for, like, you can be a lot of things and like to somebody, to a potential business relationship, but just being like a fucking cool guy kind of takes you a long way. You know, it's a really weird thing to say, but like there are things where it's like, fuck, I think I'm doing a bad job or whatever, but it's like people like, if you are able to like more or less effectively communicate and like kind of crush, but also be like chill about it.
Right.
That will take you pretty far.
Well, it's kind of like that short, that YouTube short I sent you, which was fantastic.
Yes.
And it was basically a guy saying like, the only real edge you will ever have in business is relationships. He was like, someone will always do it better than you, or be younger than you, or faster than you, or you know, anything. He's like, it is the relationships that you have with your customers that will take you throughout your career.
Yeah. And so like I've experienced that like quite a bit firsthand, like this week really is like I spent a lot of last week yelling at Philip, you know, and it's just like from a professional, it's like from a personal and professional level of like coming from a place of love and experience and whatever else, where it's like, brother, like please, for the love of God, but like, it's paying off, it's good, you know. It's just very, it's like you just need to be able to establish that. And I guess that when I say get over yourself, it's like, it does not matter how good you are if you have to tell people you're fucking good, right? And
that is a great one right there.
Yeah, like it just doesn't matter. Like, if you're good, you're good, period, right? Like, it is, I will say, like, one of the most interesting things about going around with certain people, like a shunk guy or whatever, like, because of this podcast, and it's like, oh, this is Zap, he's like the fucking best, or what. It's an uncomfortable position to be in. It's like, I'm just a fucking guy that cuts parts, brother.
Right.
Like, leave me alone.
I'm a joker that talks on the internet. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and like, obviously I like it, and it's nice and it's validating or whatever, but it's just like it's very weird sometimes when
for sure.
somebody is like in front of you talking about like, this guy can change your life, and it's like, don't fucking put that on me, man. Yeah. What about
that.
you?
Well, as per usual, I'll go a little bit more practical. I found out this week.
Yeah.
So, you know, in Fusion, in the setup, you can click accessibility analysis and it'll show you green for anything you can access from the Z positive direction and red for anything that you can't.
No, actually, I've never clicked that.
Oh, well, if you can, it's pretty cool. It's nice to see like undercuts and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I found out this week, and I just had overlooked it, is that in tool orientation on any tool path, it also has that button. And so it's very nice when you're dialing in 5-axis tool paths that you want, or tool like 3+2 tool paths that you don't want to have to be 5-axis to for like collisions and stuff. You can just kind of tweak your tool orientation and hit that button and be like, okay, that whole surface is now green. I can run it as a 3-axis toolpath. I don't have to worry about running the 5-axis and screwing up surface finishes or whatever.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's neat. It's very helpful.
That is really cool. Where is this? I'm like looking for it right now. I'm like,
once you turn on tool orientation, it should be under where you set the angles, I believe.
Oh yeah, there it is. Look at that. Look at that. Neat.
So it's very nice for, like I said, just making sure that you don't have to like run a full simultaneous 5-axis toolpath to get a simple surface that like, oh, if I just adjusted it 5 degrees, it would have been fine.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Last question, man. What have you been researching this week?
Ooh. What have I been researching this week? A lot of my research lately has just been fucking food related, honestly. Like, I've been really trying to I'm really trying to fucking focus in on getting like a sustainable, like healthy diet going, or like healthy lifestyle popping off. So that's been pretty big. That's been dominating a lot of it. Like, and I do want to start like working out again or whatever, but you know what they say, like abs are built in the kitchen, kind of thing. So like getting the nutrition under control is like first and foremost. So a lot of it's just been like, what am I going to eat? Like, I've traditionally eaten a lot of like bacon and sausage and shit like that in the morning. And it's like, oh, cause it's protein. It's good. And it's like, there's so much fat and like, it just like eats up into like going from like a macro perspective, like, oh, I just like wrecked house in terms of like fat content. And just like replace, what to replace it with. That's still going to be like filling and not too like aggressive, and just like lock in, like really just trying to like lock routines in, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah. That's kind of been it. And
I mean, it seems like it's working for you. Like I'm very happy to hear that, 2 weeks into it, you're not feeling terrible anymore.
I feel fucking great. It's kind of like, it's also like, I was also perusing like today I fucked up, thing on Reddit, and it's like, and it just happened to be like, oh, vitamin C deficiency, like, scurvy or whatever. It's like some of the side effects of that are like mood swings and like being like really tired. And I was like, do I have a fucking vitamin C deficiency?
You're like, when's the last time I had an orange shit?
Yeah. So I really have been like starting my day with like an emergency.
Okay.
So that's just like part of the daily routine now, is like a multivitamin, it's like the morning cocktail is Adderall, multivitamin and some vitamin C with like a Soylent shake. Start the day off right, baby.
Hey, you know what? You're eating and you're getting vitamins. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We're winning, baby. We're fucking winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I have been researching, one thing, I listened to Jem and Justin's Parts Department podcast.
Okay.
And, they're big AI guys. And so listening to it enough, I finally got convinced to get a subscription to Sim Theory, which is company that gets you access to many of the models all at once in one workspace.
Oh,
So
interesting.
like I generated some pictures for the Patreon because I've got some bigger projects coming up, and I was like, I don't have any like pictures to make for this, but like, oh, I can make like actually I'll make one of them the episode art for this episode. So if you're listening to this, check out the episode art. It was one of the pictures generated in Sim Theory using Flux Ultra. So big thanks to Justin for kind of holding my hand through that and being like, yeah, you should get it. And big thanks to both of them for talking about it a
Nice.
bunch. That's been really cool. It has access to like both Claude, all the OpenAI models, Flux, and then you can train agents on stuff. So you can have like your, you could like for you could train it on a bunch of health
Yeah.
stuff and then have a
Yeah.
health agent. Like you could have your advisor for that, and they would be focused on that. It would remember your conversations and all of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah. So that's been a big one. And then I am a few weeks away from having a kid. So it's just been a lot of,
Yeah.
child stuff. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of wild.
Yeah, that is fucking nuts. Daddy Dylan.
Yeah.
It's going to be a reality, baby.
We've been
Yeah.
going to like a few classes at the hospital that she's going to give birth at. And yeah, it's been very eye opening. Like we have, they have fantastic teachers there who are all like registered nurses, or like one of them was a doula for like 30 years or something like that. So it's been, just a lot, just a flood of information.
Yeah.
But all good.
Damn.
All good.
Nice.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been good to catch up. Like we've been texting a bunch, but it's been nice to get face to face again.
Yeah. Miss that fucking mug, baby.
Likewise, buddy. Thanks to new Patreon members, Ty, Robin, and Edward. You guys make this show possible. And I will talk to you all next week.